All right, here we are, Monday Morning Analyst for this weekend. Not a moment to waste. Now, look, man, with these UFC cards that are essentially just designed to be live events in Russia that they just happen to film and share with the rest of the world, like if they didn't share it with you, I don't know if they would be crying about it. It's not really designed for you or for I. It's designed for that part of the world, although, strangely enough, Khabib Nurmagomedov complaining that it wasn't marketed very well in Russia. Neither here nor there, though. There was a lot of action that was good. There was a lot of action that was not so good. There was something to like on it in a few different places. There was one place in particular, however, that was rather exquisite. That was the co-main event. Islam Makhachev taking on, I believe, Arman Tsarukyan. I could be mispronouncing his name in some capacity or another, although he's Armenian. Shouts to the Armenians. My mother was one. In any event, the wrestling in that was phenomenal. Both ways, actually, but it was much better by Makhachev. Although for a debut, Tsarukyan, by the way, he's got Caesar, written into his name, which is always kind of interesting and fun. It was good two-way wrestling, but it was much better from Makhachev. Now, Makhachev has that brutal knockout loss on his career, but you look at his numbers, we're going to go through them in a minute here. He is a very efficient grappler. Tsarukyan, if he didn't have the ability to strike, trying to wrestle Makhachev just was not much of a path to anywhere. He couldn't get far with it. And what I really love about Makhachev's wrestling is that it's good, obviously, everywhere. But I guess what I mean to say is it was good defensively. It has good anticipation. It was good mat wrestling. It was more than mat wrestling. And he just had a couple of interesting twists to his game where I'm not sure how much of it is judo. I'm not sure how much of it is sambo. Obviously, sambo and judo themselves have a bit of a shared identity historically from Russia. By the way, fun factoid, the guy who invented sambo, Stalin killed him for fear of what he might, well, Stalin was a paranoid man, so he was murdering, intellectuals and other sort of figures in Russian society, but he had that guy murdered. In any event, so there's an interconnectedness between judo and sambo generally. But there's a certain efficiency, a certain smoothness, right? I'm going to have a cup of coffee over here. The hipsters here in Vox Media, they don't even have stevia anymore. They wanted me to put agave, nectar or whatever in my coffee. And I said, no, I want a smooth pull of coffee. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. I don't know what that story has to do with anything other than to say I really appreciate Makhachev. I really appreciate just some of the extra details he was able to use to get ahead. So let's look at some of them now, shall we? All right, there we are. Here is how Makhachev got it done. There he is right there. Thank you there, Joe. I appreciate that. Here he is right here. So again, standard disclaimer, and this is going to be especially true here. You're going to catch somebody who wrestled at a high level, and they're going to pick up on stuff that I did not. These are very much, as I've always said, if you know anything about political polling, these are top-line findings. But look at other analysts. These are not the best or the only or the most complete findings. These are my top-line findings. I always encourage you to do your own investigative work and hear what other analysts have to say. That being said, these are some things you can look at to help you better understand what Makhachev did and what makes him so special, particularly in this contest. Number one, hand control. I wrote hand control. It's a little bit of hand and wrist, where he's going for the wrist, but also there's times where he's peeling and controlling the hand. So it's a little bit of both. That's why I kind of put it that way. But just to be clear, sometimes it's wrist, sometimes it's hand. This is using as a catch-all. Wrist control is just incredibly important. Remember, go back to my lecture or whatever you want to call these 1 or 2 weeks ago. I forget which one it was now. Where we're talking about gripping. Gripping is not just something you do in jiu-jitsu. Gripping is not just something you do in judo. Gripping is not just something that you do in no-gi, because there's certain kinds of grips where you can hit an arm drag and things like that. We have to grip up to do it. Gripping is important even in MMA as well. If you can get a hold of somebody, particularly around the hand or the wrist, you just have the ability to control that extremity in certain ways. He does it in all kinds of ways. Defensive wrestling, he does it. He does it for guard passing. He does it to set up foot sweeps. He just has a real command of where to grab the hand and what scenarios and how to control it and how to use it for his benefit. He did it over and over and over and over again. Excellent hand and wrist control from Islam Makhachev. Number two, disrupting clinch neutrality. Here is one. He does a couple of things just like Khabib. This one is not just like Khabib, but in the sense that Khabib and Islam Makhachev will give you 50-50 in the clinch. Each one will have an underhook. Each one will have an overhook. That is ostensibly a neutral position. But with Islam Makhachev and with Khabib Nurmagomedov, it is not. It is not a neutral position. It is very much not a neutral position. It is very much something that looks neutral, and then they take advantage of the perceived neutrality. The foot sweeps was one of them. It was the main component there. But I just sort of want to show that even in situations where Tsarukyan was looking for a takedown and it looked like it was not really all that close, but kind of close, he would then have these weird attacks from it where there'd be a lull in the action. He's just really, really good about finding these moments where the action kind of stalls or the position is ostensibly neutral and they turn it into something that is not neutral at all. He was really good at that. So was Khabib Nurmagomedov. The other one is sort of the leg lacing that he does. Not wrestling style leg lacing, but where, remember McGregor was sort of sitting with his legs out against the fence like that in the first. His legs are all the way out like that. And then Khabib laces them and kind of sits on top of them. He does that as well. That's not so much the clinch neutrality, but what the two have in common. 3, this was big, marrying mat wrestling with positional advance. It should be positional advancement. I just didn't want to put another layer down on the text, so I just wrote advance, but suffice to say you get the idea. It's not merely that he has good wrist control in certain scenarios where he has either cross wrist or same side wrist control. It's that he is always looking to advance position. So he is threatening you not merely with getting dominant control that could be set up to, work from turtle. He might be looking to sink the hooks. And if he's not looking to sink the hooks, he's looking to flatten you. And when he's looking to flatten you, he's passing right away. He actually passes much more quickly than Nurmagomedov. He seems to like really moving in advance of that. So it's not just that when he gets you down, he holds you down from a position where he can do, let's say, ground and pound damage. He likes to advance the cause a little bit, and he does it with rapid speed and very, very good technique. It's something you can tell. He likes to not, because think about it. If I take you down and now I'm in sight, well, let's say I'm in half guard or full guard, right? When's the best time for me to pass? Probably right away. Because once you get settled into the position and then you begin to set up your grips, and then you begin to get your hooks in or whatever you're trying to do, if you're playing butterfly guard like Tsarukyan, then you can begin to do things, and it's going to make passing a little bit harder unless there's a really major, big skill differential. The best time to pass is right away, or even in transition. So he does that, and he does it really well. And then last, never letting his hips turn over. You're going to see a bunch of transitions here. If you notice, there was a lot of times Tsarukyan was in on his hips, and he could not give Makhachev down. Why? General rule, there's a lot of reasons why, but general rule of thumb, think about it this way. You can't take me down. You can get me to my hands and knees, and you can get me to my hands and feet, but you cannot flatten me over unless you get my hips to not face the mat. If my hips face the mat, there's nothing you can do. I'm going to sit in that position. Now again, you could maybe take the back, and that would create some asymmetry in terms of our offensive options and choices, but if my hips never get turned over, that takedown is not going to be there. And Tsarukyan seems like one of these guys who has a high work rate and likes to get takedowns, but lacks a little finesse in the finishing and lacks a little finesse in the mat wrestling with positional advancement. And that's one of the major reasons why Makhachev got ahead. All right, so those are some things to consider. Very quickly, let me look here at his game. Look at these stats here. Again, these are not the best indications of things. This is from Fight Metric. This is takedown accuracy. Where is Makhachev? He is at number 4, if you can see that, with a 71, essentially, can't quite see that, 71% accuracy in takedown. You look at some of these other numbers, and you're going to be like, okay, but Nordine Taleb is number 2. Right, but Nordine Taleb and Robbie Lawler, they don't make takedowns a forward, central, critical part of their game. St. Pierre did. St. Pierre is just ahead of him. So these stats don't tell the full story, but if you're looking at guys, or in this case ladies like Liz Carmouche, for people who make takedowns a central feature of what they do, and they have that kind of success with it, that's really important. And by the way, this is all-time, all weight classes. Now look at just lightweights. He's got the most efficient takedowns in all lightweights all time. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. He is a guy, and you can say, well, you got Vince Pichel. Is he, a top 5 UFC lightweight? No, and takedowns are a big part of his game, but look who he's fighting. Makhachev has not fought the very, very best. I'm just sort of pointing out, I'm not taking it as gospel that he's got the best takedowns at lightweight. It's not what I'm suggesting. I am just trying to argue that there is a lot of reason to believe that his takedowns are particularly efficient, and with a guy with a takedown heavy style, that tells you a lot. Tells you a lot, because Khabib is less than 50. Less than half of Khabib's takedowns work. But once he gets you down and he begins to get in rhythm, obviously it's a nightmare. Okay? All right. So let's look at this. This is this whole sequence here. So this is Tsarukyan, the Armenian, and then this is Makhachev, the Dagestani. I have nothing against him, but, you know, rooting for the guy who shares my mom's ancestry. All right, very quickly here. Okay. So let's watch this. So this is ostensibly a neutral position, right? One underhook, one overhook. They each share that. Let's go through this and see what happens here. Makhachev is pushing into him, and he eats a knee kind of crossways. Punches over from the overhook. And I want to point out something here. Going back to the Tyron Woodley and Kamaru Usman fight, people are like, why did Mike Goddard intervene? This is why, I'm not sure who was reffing here, Herb Dean. He did not intervene in this one because he didn't need to. And he didn't need to because they didn't stay in these positions very long. These guys were constantly level changing. What you saw from Tyron Woodley and Kamaru Usman was they'd get to 50-50 and Kamaru would push him against the fence and then bang on him from the overhook side, which is fine for a little while, but that can't hold you for a minute or two, and he would try. When you look at these guys, I want you to pay attention. They get to ostensibly neutral positions, and both are constantly trying to work. That is such a critical difference. Mark Goddard got raked over the coals on that broadcast, absolutely unfairly. I can prove it easily that what his work there was not only good, it was exemplary. People have this totally false notion that he did something wrong there. He did not. This is a perfect, among other things, this is a perfect refutation of that because they get to the same positions, but they don't last because they're either digging for underhooks or level changing or separating. All the things you need to do to keep the referee from intervening. All right? So let's watch this here. He's digging to the body a little bit. You can see that. He's digging to the body, and then Tsarukyan kind of reaches over with the right hand to maybe block it or whatever. This is all part of the strategy. He's banging on the body. We'll go to the footwork here a little bit later. He's banging on the body. You see that? Look. Bangs on it. Tsarukyan keeps the hand there, throws the punch, and then grabs the wrist. So he's setting up the wrist grab with the ground and pound. What does he want to do? He wants to do a foot sweep. The foot sweeps look like what they're doing is they're just kicking you, and then they're kicking out the post leg. That might be the case in Muay Thai, although even then that's not really true. They're trying to get you to move. What they really want you to do is foot sweeps are like overwhelmingly a timing thing. If you've ever tried to do a foot sweep, you know that to be true. It's not really a heavy, I mean, maybe you can take them down that way. That's really not what it is. What it really is getting somebody in motion and then timing it just right. Not with the side of your foot, but with the bottom of the foot, right around the ball of their ankle, and then taking them out. And there's a million different kinds. There's the front of the foot, there's the side of the foot, there's inside, there's outside. There's just all different kinds of foot sweeps, ways to get them past you. You can do it from 50-50, double unders, double overs, 2-on-1 Russian. It's a million different ways. This is just his way. So what he's going to do is he bangs on him to the body, grabs the wrist. What he's going to do is he's going to imagine that Tsarukyan is on a diving board. If you're on a diving board, how far forward do you have to go before you tip over? That's essentially what he's trying to do. He gets him to tip over just enough for his weight to be light. Then he kicks out the post leg, and that is just timing. It's timing. It's beautiful. Yes, he's manipulating the upper body to make him light, and depending on the way he's stepping and everything. But I can't stress this enough. That is years and years and years and years and years of practice. That is extremely difficult to do. It's why you don't see them. That takes a special degree of finesse. Even Ben Askren was talking about how good this was and talking about Steve Mako. Steve Mako, the wrestling coach at ATT, wrestler at Oklahoma State, Iowa, but I think he may have been to both. I can't remember anymore. Was on the Olympic team with a bunch of these donks. He is a master at the foot sweep, and he would do it by peeling your face to the side. Not super hard, but just enough to create that turn and that pull, and then he strikes out the bottom right here. So let's watch this. So watch. Tsarukyan steps back, and I want to pay attention here. This foot that's fine. This foot kind of has to face out like it is, and he's going to switch his stance because you couldn't do it from this. You could, depending on the footwork, but he's going to switch his stance. It's a little bit better when he does. So he switches his stance, and watch this. He's going to pull this way, sort of, kind of like rotating down and through, right? As he's glued his own elbow to his arm like that. He's going to twist just like that. That's going to pull, as he's going to, watch Makhachev's hips. See that? His hips come through. So he's pulling him off the diving board, but not all the way. The rest of the work comes from that. And you can see it's the bottom of his foot. It's not really the side. And he's right around the ball of the ankle there. It's where it is. And you can look just ever so closely. You can see the weight comes up just a little bit. Just a little bit. Look closely here. Look at Tsarukyan's ankle here. Before Makhachev hits it. Comes up just a little bit. You see that? Just a little bit. And he's kind of hitting this direction a little bit, also hitting this direction. It's sort of a two-way thing. But I want you to pay attention. Look how subtle this timing is. He moves in motion before the weight comes up. He is expecting Tsarukyan's weight to be lifted by the time the foot makes it. Just look at that. Look at that. So subtle. So subtle. Pow. And then he takes him off of his feet. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress this enough. That is elite, 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 elite timing. That is brilliant, unmistakable, absolutely world-class timing. That is what that is. It's a bunch of other things, but it's timing too. In the words of Vinny Paz, Islam Makhachev's out here putting pressure on you kids like he's a soccer mom. All right, here we go. Takes him over, crashes on top of him, which I love, and then just slides over into mount. Presence of mind to do that. Marrying the mat wrestling with positional advancement, yeah? And then he goes and holds the spot. Tsarukyan with the arm trap, no less. Brilliant, right? So let's keep going here. So a little bit later, Tsarukyan gets to a side, which is better than being flat on your back. What's he going to do? He gets his arm free. He is going to try to use this space here to create a hook to lift, to bring the other foot inside. What you're looking for when these guys bring their knees in, you want to get the knee on the inside of the position. If I can get my knee across your belly, then I can fully regard. If I can bring my knee to the inside of your torso, I can better regard. There's much more to it, but that's a big component of it, right? So you see him get sort of 2-on-1 here. One is a knee shield, one is the hook. Now he's on, by the way, where is he now? Now he's on an elbow. So think about it before. Flat on his back, now on his side, now on his elbow. He's slowly climbing back to a better position. He extends, puts the two in. He can't quite get it, lifts him, then gets his left knee across. Look here again. Follow this knee. The right knee is going to lift. Both these are going to lift a little bit. And then the left one goes to the side, right? That's nice work. That's very, very nice work from Tsarukyan. But Makhachev doesn't wait. You see, Tsarukyan tries to lift him. Look how he is posting on his head, ladies and gentlemen. It's another hand if you use it just right. He is posting on his right leg, and he is posting on his hand. His head. He's going to be hard to turn. Notice, where are his hips facing, ladies and gentlemen? They are facing the mat. They never get turned. They never get turned. Tsarukyan kind of gets up, and Makhachev passes here, and then he goes to try and look at it. And by the way, wrist control, because he wants to come to the back to take the back. Yep, nice work here. Makhachev is going to sit. He's going to use his own. He's going to use his own hook to throw him through. I like this from Tsarukyan. He doesn't accept position. What is he going to do? Where are his hips facing? The mat. Hips facing the mat. Hips facing the mat. And now Makhachev has to bail, which I thought was really nice work from Tsarukyan. I just wanted to put that in there. Yep. He gets up, and that's that. All right, here we are just a little bit later. Let's watch what happens here. Looks like it's small. I want you to point something. I mentioned hand and control. Go back here a little bit. Look, he could almost have a takedown and a guillotine jump if he wanted to do it. And then we look, this is 219. Now we're at 207. Makhachev gets a hand inside and pries it free, and then goes to grab right there. Always fighting the hands. Always fighting the hands. And then he pops his head out. See that? Constantly fighting the hands. offensively and defensively. And then he works here. Okay, so here we are at 140. He's going to pop him. This is just amazing presence of mind by Tsarukyan. He goes to turn. Now, he might have gotten his takedown but for the fence. But look at Makhachev. Hand posted, hips facing the mat, right? Watch. He just can't turn him over. His hips are facing the mat. Cannot turn this guy over. And then he comes back around. Here we are. By the way, so he has his back. He gets his left arm now pried sort of in between like that, lifting a little bit, right? And then he's got bicep control on the other side. Now he's got an overhook and he's got bicep control. Tsarukyan tries to lift and turn here. So he's going to rotate him. Tsarukyan is rotating this way, yeah? Look at Makhachev. Plants the hand. Look at his hips. They're almost getting turned over. They're almost getting turned over. But his hand and his elbow and his whizzer is enabling him to twist over. Tsarukyan decides to go for the back, which the whizzer kind of prevents. Now, you see Makhachev wants to twist into him. But if he does, and he does, he's going to get taken back because now he can just drive this angle and drive him flat. But he almost gets taken down again, and then he just bails back. He never, and look where his hips are facing. He never lets his hips get turned over, ever. It's just really, really super solid work. Let's keep going here. All right, he stands. He's going to use this hook. Tsarukyan loves to use his hooks to turn him over, and then he wants to keep control. And you're going to watch him, Islam, sit out, and then he probably could have turned in there, but decided not to, and then he stands. And then watch again, grabbing the hand. Here, and then he's going to use the same sweep, same kind of timing, but you notice his weight really isn't in motion that much, so he gets turned, but he doesn't get thrown. All right, real quickly. Let's go to the second round. Here he is from a front headlock. I love this from Tsarukyan. This was just so epic. Basically, what he's going to do is he's going to bring his head to the other side. Typically, you want to grab on this elbow and pull it across. And then this hand now allows you to come around the side. Watch. So you see that? He can't quite get over. But now, let's see. Let's watch. He's going to bring his head up. He has to get it to the right side of Makhachev's body. Let's see. Brings his weight down, pulls his head out, and then comes out the side. Typically, you want to pull on this elbow. I don't think Tsarukyan needed to do it because it got a little loose in transition. Yeah, you can see it gets a little loose here. But he brings that out over the top and pops it free. Love that. Boom. Nice shot on the exit. Tsarukyan was a worthy adversary. Here we are, and I got to wrap up with this here. I love this. He tries to take the back, but the arm beats him. He can't quite do it. Again, looks like a neutral position. Boom. Again, look at him. Watch this. His feet are already lifted by the time Makhachev hits it. Now, he doesn't quite finish the turn, so Tsarukyan's able to get his hips down, but look at this. All it was a transition to a single leg attempt. Kick out, pop through, bang, and then just drive like that. Just super nice work, man. Not every foot sweep is going to be a full takedown, but if it can transition to the next one and you can chain them together, it's just brilliant work. Really, really solid stuff from Islam Makhachev. And then he goes to a head outside single by Tsarukyan, then decides, so he runs the pipe, right? Poomp sits him, and then goes the other way. So I want you to pay attention here. He's rotating this way, and then decides to rotate this way. Hot, like that. Keeping that constantly changing directions on you. Yeah? And then he went for this Kimura. I don't like going for Kimuras for stuff like this, and I'm going to show you why this didn't work. He runs him down. Tsarukyan's hips, are they facing the mat? Nope, they're facing up. Right? I don't like this. One, because he can put his hands together. I mean, far be it for me to critique a guy who's in the UFC and I'm not, but I'm just telling you personally, this is just my opinion. I don't like this, and I'll tell you why I don't like this. Because here, this is kind of strong, and you'll see why it's not in a minute. Makhachev just brings his hips over to block it, because now he can't create space away from his body, right? Here's why I don't like it, because we'll fast forward here just a little bit. He gets at a perpendicular angle to him, and he drives his weight into him. I want you to pay attention to this. Look at the distance between the elbow and the chest of Tsarukyan. It's far away. You got to bring that thing. You don't always have to, but like a general rule of thumb, that needs to be up here. It needs to be nice and tight and compact so you're using your whole body to turn. Tsarukyan's arms versus Makhachev's weight and base, he's never going to win. He's never going to win. So you can't really do that. So here we are. He tries to scoot his hips out a little bit and then bring the elbow close to him, but he can't because it's blocked. He eventually bails on it. Now he goes from an elbow to a hand to get up, and Makhachev puts him back down, immediately goes for the pass, step through, lays flat. Let's see how does he get it? No. Good work here. But there he is. He goes forward again. So he's just going to lay Tsarukyan flat on one hip and then bring his hip over look at his, follow this leg. He's just going to lay him flat so his hips go this way, and then he's just going to bring it over the top like that. Nice work. Now, he didn't control the head, so Tsarukyan squirmy underneath, but I want you to pay attention. What did he grab? In all scenarios, grabbing the wrist. In all scenarios, all the time. He's so good at it. Tsarukyan was going for the head inside single a lot and had a lot of trouble getting it. You can't quite tell, but anybody who's wrestled will probably say this is true. I can't imagine that they would disagree with this part. There's so much daylight between his chest and the thigh. For a head inside single, King Mo one time showed me how he does his head inside singles. And King Mo was making a point about how much weight has to be on the top of the thigh and the head has to be kind of guiding the hips. And it's just nowhere close. He has his hips back. The head is kind of stacked underneath. There's space between the chest and the hips. There's just not enough to get this done, and Makhachev knows it. So he just sort of fights the hands. And by the way, he didn't wrestle through him. He wrestled to him. So he kind of gets flat here and then tries to stand. It just doesn't work that way. Not very successfully, right? And then you see Makhachev just break all this up. Boom. Nice shot from him. Goes to the other side. Here's another shot. Tsarukyan's in on the right leg. I'm going to wrap up here pretty quickly. He goes to get to the back. Tsarukyan blocks it by grabbing this leg. But the problem is now, look at the wrist control that Makhachev has. He's going to fold him backwards, almost like a crucifix. Tsarukyan just kind of bails and athletically gets back to his base. But that was a perilous, perilous moment there. And they get up and they stand. I'm almost done here. End of the fight. I want you to watch this. He's going to get underneath him. Boom. Whose hips are facing where? Tsarukyan tries to roll. This is so good from Islam Makhachev. Hand is planted, head is planted. So his balance should be good. And he just guides. He goes past this hook from Tsarukyan and then goes into what's called leg drag. This is a leg drag position. He could easily move into a lot of different spaces here. Well, it's not quite leg drag because this leg is in front. It's like a half leg drag, but he floats essentially. Yeah, it's not quite leg drag. I don't want to misstate it. But it's close to leg drag. And then he's floated his hips to the side, and he is sat on top of this hook. Now, all he has to do is lift his leg, and he would get to leg drag. But I just love how he floated. Now he can leg weave past it if he wants. Tsarukyan got the inside position on the knee, but it was a pretty nice job by both these guys. You can put the thumbnail back up. You get the idea. It's just super solid work. I'm not telling you he's the best lightweight. I'm not telling you he's got the best wrestling in the UFC. I'm not telling you any of that. What I am telling you is, if you look at some of the details from the hand control to the timing on the foot sweeps to the positional advancement and to some of the other small things, the way he sets it all up, that's a bad, bad dude. Islam Makhachev, I know he had that one brutal knockout loss, but he appears to be a standout in that UFC lightweight division for a very good reason. And that is my Monday Morning Analyst.